Welcome to the 2022 City of Beverly Inauguration Ceremony. My name is Jocelyn Ruel-Kursker. I'm Mayor Cahill's Chief of Staff, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies today. If you could please take a moment to silence your cell phones, I would appreciate that. Thank you. I would like to start by expressing gratitude to the school department for hosting us here at Beverly High School and to BevCam for broadcasting this program. And a very special thank you to Martha Lewis, Mayor Cahill's Executive Secretary, and City Clerk Lisa Kent and her department for their help in organizing today's ceremony. To prepare for my MC duties today, I watched the recording of the 2020 inauguration ceremony. And at first it made me feel nostalgic for what seems to be now a much simpler time. But rather than get mired in the difficulties or the things we've lost, I'm choosing to be proud of everything we've braved together over the last 2 years. Excuse me, it's really hard to breathe with this mask on. I'm going to take it down. This community came together like never before to serve and protect one another. Volunteers delivered PPE, restaurants donated to hungry medical professionals, and city officials at every level of government worked overtime to ensure a swift pandemic response, to oversee fair and accessible elections, to meet our sustainability goals, and to challenge ourselves with new diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, all the while delivering the basic services that keep the city running. I am hopeful that over the next 2 years, we will continue to see such camaraderie and generosity in our fair city. Mayor Cahill, incoming and returning members of the City Council and the School Committee, congratulations to all of you. Your leadership, cooperation, and dedication to our community will help Beverly continue to grow and prosper. I wish you all the best in the term you'll begin today. The ceremony will now begin with the recital of the Pledge of Allegiance, led by the incoming and returning members of the City Council and School Committee, followed by the National Anthem, performed by the Beverly High School Vocal Ensemble, led by Carolyn Polanin-Kudlik. The presentation of colors will be given by the Beverly High School ROTC MCJ Color Guard. Please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The invocation will now be given by Reverend Manuel P. Faria of St. Peter's Church.
Let us pray. O Holy Divine One, we meet in another challenging time in the history of our city, our Commonwealth, our nation, and the world. We face many issues and problems. At every level, elected officials are grappling with climate change, racism, and the very idea of democracy. As the elected leadership of this city begin another term of office, we ask your guidance. Where they have begun good work, help them to complete it. Where new challenges wait, help them to face them. Where they struggle with existing challenges, provide a way forward. Help our mayor and our councilors and school committee and all elected officials to remember those who have elected them to represent us, and indeed all the people of this city, that they may act for the betterment of Beverly and its citizens. Keep them mindful of the least of us, those who struggle with poverty in a land of plenty, those who face obstacles because of the color of their skin or the place of their birth, and of our children who are the future of this place. Knowing they cannot please everyone, help them to choose the right course and not the one of least resistance. And now in this third decade of the 21st century, may we be blessed with leadership that is prepared to point the way forward in Beverly, in Massachusetts, the nation, and the world. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Faria. Assistant City Clerk Christine Dixon will now read the certificate of election, followed by the administration of the oath of office to the mayor, city council president, and school committee, and city council. Did I say that already? Sorry about that. Following the oath of office, the Beverly High School Jazz Band, led by Adam Costa, will play a musical selection. Christine.
Thank you. The Board of Registrars of Voters of the City of Beverly, having canvassed and compared the returns from the several wards and precincts of the votes cast at the municipal election held on the second day of November 2021, said election having been held by authority and under the provisions of Chapter 238 of the Acts of 1951 as amended by Chapter 112 of the Acts of 1962. It appears from the returns of the votes cast at said election that the following persons have been elected officers of the City of Beverly for the term specified in the Charter. Mayor for the term of 2 years from the first Monday of January 2022, Michael P. Cahill. Councilors at large for the term of 2 years from the first Monday of January 2022, Julie R. Flowers, Hannah L. Bowen, Brendan S. Sweeney. Councilors from wards for the term of 2 years from the first Monday of January 2022, Ward 1, Todd C. Rotundo. Ward 2, Estelle M. Rand. Ward 3, Stephen M. Crowley. Ward 4, Scott D. Hausman. Ward 5, Kathleen M. Feldman. Ward 6, Matthew J. St. Hilaire. It is further certified that it appears from said returns of votes cast at said election that the following persons have been elected as members of the school committee for a term of 2 years from the first Monday of January 2022. Ward 1, Rachel O. Aba. Ward 2, Ken-Ann F. McKenzie. Ward 3, Kimberly J. Coelho. Ward 4, Jeffrey C. Silva. Ward 5, Karen L. Robinson. And Ward 6, Lorenda K. Visnick. If I could have Mayor Cahill come over here. I'm going to have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Michael Parker Cahill.
I, Michael Parker Cahill.
Do solemnly swear and affirm.
Do solemnly swear and affirm.
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform.
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform.
All the duties incumbent on me as mayor of the City of Beverly.
all the duties incumbent on me as mayor of the city of Beverly,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
agreeably to the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
agreeably to the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Beverly,
and the Charter and ordinances of the city of Beverly.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. If I could have the city councilors, except for Council President Flowers, please stand. And raise your right hand, and you're going to repeat after me, filling in your name. So I, and state your name,
I, Matthew C. Hilaire,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent on me as a city councilor of the City of Beverly,
all the duties incumbent upon me as a city councilor in the city of Beverly,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
agreeably to the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
agreeably to the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Beverly,
and the Charter and ordinances of the city of Beverly.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You may be seated. If I could have Council President Flowers join me. And repeat after me. I, Julie Rebecca Flowers,
I, Julie Rebecca Flowers,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent on me as City Council President for the City of Beverly,
all of the duties incumbent on me as City Council President for the City of Beverly,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
according to the best of my abilities and understanding,
agreeably to the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
agreeably to the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the Charter and the ordinances of the City of Beverly,
and the Charter and the ordinances of the City of Beverly,
so help me God.
so help me God. Okay, if I could have the school committee members please rise and raise your right hand and repeat after me, filling in your name as the city councilors did. I, state your name, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as a school committee member of the City of Beverly, according to the best of my abilities and understanding, agreeably to the Constitution and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Beverly, so help me God. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Mr. Costa. That was awesome. Now that I have my breath back, it is my honor and privilege to welcome Mayor Michael P. Cahill for his inaugural address.
You know, I hope you don't mind, Mr. Costa, Adam Costa, the director of the Beverly High School Jazz Band. Do you mind coming to the microphone for just a minute and saying something about these kids? Because that was joyous and fun and amazing. You usually do, and I'd hate to, well, that microphone probably works, because I think we got the camera on you. BevCam, you got them covered? From there, yeah? Yeah. I would just love to hear these kids' names. They were amazing.
Yeah, so I just have to say, this group working almost completely virtually last year and going through all the trials and tribulations we had, they have been just bringing it this year. We're happy to be back together. We're happy to be making music in the same room again. And I think you can probably hear it in the energy with which they played. So really quickly, our saxophone line, we've got Brendan Fitzpatrick, Connor Busick, Caden Hollingsworth, Stuart Moran, Cece Tiguero, and Harrison Skilling. Our brass section on trombone, Tara McNeil, Oliver Sweatman, and then in the back, our trumpet players. Stand up, guys, stand up. Come on. Look at that Hawaiian shirt, come on. Nico Gilbert, Olivia Thompson, Zoe Jackson, and Matt Lee. And then our esteemed rhythm section, there are a lot of them on my right over here. We got Evan Moscarello, Jane Foley, William Baumel, Kat Wilson, Olivia Arenberg, Tommy Pittman, Mars Orfanos. I think I got everybody right. Is that it? Will. And Will Kilcoyne. Mr. Cahill, City Council, and City Hall staff for allowing us to be a part of this every 2 years. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Costa, and all of you students. That was amazing. Thank you so much for brightening up this event. It's great to see so many family members and strong supporters and students with us today. You're wonderful, and thank you for being here, and thank you for all you do to support those of us who put our names on a ballot to try to run this city as our residents need us to. So good afternoon and Happy New Year. I want to thank you all for being here, and in particular our Beverly High School students participating today, our junior ROTC, our vocal ensemble, and our amazing jazz band. Thank you for sharing your talents with us today. Also, our friends and faith leaders, Reverend Manny Faria and Rabbi Allison Adler, and from the Mayor's Office, Executive Secretary Martha Lewis, for all her good work in organizing this inaugural ceremony. And I want to thank our Chief of Staff, Jocelyn Royal-Kursker, for serving as Master of Ceremonies today. Thank you to my own family, my brother Tim, who's here today, and many other family members who are watching on BevCam, for your constant love and support as I, together with all my colleagues in local government, work hard each day to give our very best to this wonderful city of Beverly we call home. Thank you to our partners in state and federal government, to State Senator Joan Lovely and State Representative Jerry Paracella, both here today, and your teams, to Sheriff Kevin Coppinger, U.S. Congressman Seth Moulton and your teams, and Kelly Bovio from the Congressman's office, thank you for being with us. To Governor Baker and the many members of his administration, all of you have proven to be invaluable partners in both good times and hard times, especially these past 2 years. Thank you to our former colleagues on the school committee and city council who have now moved on from their outstanding service to our city. You have contributed greatly to our city, and we will miss working directly with you as colleagues. Thank you especially to the people of this city for putting your faith in us, in me, and in my colleagues on the city council and school committee who have just taken our oaths of office. Serving you and serving this great city is truly an awesome and a humbling honor and responsibility. Congratulations also to all my partners in local government. Congratulations to those re-elected to continue our important work, and special congratulations to our newly elected officials who we are confident will serve the people of Beverly with honor and insight. School Committee member Jeffrey Silva and City Councilors Stephen Crowley, Matthew St. Hilaire, Hannah Bowen, and newlywed Brendan Sweeney. And City Council President Julie Flowers, not new to the City Council, but new to this role. Congratulations to you all. And as we all, City Councilors, school committee members, and mayor, begin our service to the people and City of Beverly for this 2022-2023 term in office, I want to acknowledge the importance to each of us of the many key friends, supporters, and family in our lives. Happily, many of those people are here with us today. And thank you for all you all do for us. And for those people in each of our lives no longer living, who have inspired us and helped us to become the people we are today, who have impacted our lives, who have loved, supported, nurtured, and guided us in various ways, and whose memories each of us cherish, and who we carry with us proudly and with love. For these people and their place in our lives, as we prepare to undertake the important work of serving the people of Beverly, we remember each of you and know you are always with us, guiding us, praying for us, and always holding us up with your love. Let me acknowledge that most of the last 2 years we have spent trying to keep ourselves, our loved ones, and our community safe during the first global pandemic in over a century. There's much one could say about COVID-19. I want to focus on two things. First, I want to say thank you to everyone in this community, to all our city employees, municipal and schools. You have been strong, compassionate, and professional, and we are grateful for you. To our healthcare professionals and first responders, your determination, your courage, and your commitment to your patients has been and is awe-inspiring. To our residents and local business owners and your employees, with the ground beneath everyone's feet so uncertain these past 2 years, with much hardship and tragedy at both a personal and community level, you have shown kindness, compassion, and support for each other and all of us. Thank you. Second, the Omicron variant, with its far greater transmissibility, is putting even greater strains on our healthcare system at present. Indications that it is not as virulent as earlier strains are encouraging. Still, people are getting sick and people are dying. And now and for the next several weeks, we all need to continue to be vigilant. For all except those who medically cannot, we need to mask, to get vaccinated and boosted, to limit our exposure to people outside our family circles. And while none of these steps are guarantees, they all help to protect us and others. We owe this to our healthcare professionals and their families. And so, we as local leaders will continue to do our collective best to guide our community through the current Omicron COVID-19 variant. Our highest value continues to be first, keeping people safe, while also doing everything we can to keep our kids in school and learning, and our city buildings and local businesses open to the public. Turning to the future, there is much that needs our attention these next 2 years, starting today. We will continue to partner with and support our local businesses in every way we can to help them come through the pandemic and prosper moving forward. We will strive to improve on the city's strong financial foundation that we have built together, ensuring our city's ability to deliver world-class public education and city services, to fix and improve city infrastructure, and to ensure reserves sufficient to deliver the same world-class services when the next economically challenging time presents itself. One of my favorite Christmas presents. When I first became your mayor 8 years ago, we welcomed anyone who wanted to invest their money, their talents, their dreams, and their hard work in our community. And over the last 8 years, many people have come through the door wanting to do just that. This is a good thing for our community, as long as any individual or group's vision for their property is consistent with our community's collective vision for our own future. That collective vision is expressed in our ordinances and in our city's new master plan, developed over the last 3 years with vast public engagement, input, and guidance. This robust process has led to a strong plan we can now use to continue to move Beverly forward confidently as our city evolves for the 21st century. To this point, a top priority expressed in the master plan is to acknowledge and address Beverly's needs for continued economic development and for housing for people in all stages of life and at all income levels. And since both needs can be well met in a transit-oriented setting, in other words, where public transit and needed services are nearby, we plan to prioritize changes to the Bass River waterfront zoning. The city is working to improve our building design standards. We continue to work with downtown residents and other neighbors to address their concerns, and we plan to submit a proposal for the Planning Board and City Council to consider and act on by spring. Importantly, this downtown focus on transit-oriented development furthers the goals of our new climate action plan, as it brings fewer cars per housing unit and fewer car trips per vehicle, with residents choosing to take public transit and walk or bike to nearby stores to meet more of their needs. These values and more comprise the formula for a sustainable 21st century community. We are excited to implement many of our climate action plan recommendations and to achieve deep reductions community-wide in our greenhouse gas emissions over the next 2 years. We are also committed to equity in Beverly, and we're excited to continue our meaningful work. As the 2020 census underscores, the city of Beverly continues to grow in the diversity of our people. There is a richness diversity brings a community, and we are blessed that people from all over continue to discover our city and choose to make their homes and their lives here. We in Beverly owe it to each other to ensure that the promise and the opportunity of America that we've long believed in becomes the reality of America for everyone who chooses to call Beverly home. Soon, the racial equity audit of city government that we've been working on will be complete. We are excited to act on the information and guidance it will provide us to make Beverly's city government work better for all our residents. Our public schools excel at providing a high-quality, world-class education for our children. Our staff and educational leaders strive every day to deliver greatness, and this will continue to be our collective priority. We will offer and demand the highest academic achievement by our students possible. At the same time, we work to develop strong, resilient, healthy young people. COVID-19 has obviously complicated this work. School Superintendent Dr. Suzanne Chirocik, her leadership team, and our school district staff continue to do amazing work. And we are all mindful of our need to support our students, to partner with their families to help our students grow academically, socially, and emotionally, and to do all we can to support their mental health. This will all continue to be our work in the coming years. Including and beyond our schools, the pandemic has taken a toll in many ways on everyone. And so we will focus on the physical and mental health needs of our employees and of the residents we serve through our many city programs and departments. This must and will be a high priority for our ongoing work. Now, with all this on our plate, I want to close with a reminder. Everything we do as local elected officials matters, and I know we will give all our work our very best. And yet, there is one responsibility we have to our children and our grandchildren that is most urgent. It is most urgent because the clock is ticking. And that responsibility is to address the climate crisis. As extreme weather events become more and more frequent and deadly, if we are going to provide our future generations the best opportunities to live their best lives in this world, we need to prevent the worst of climate change. That means we need to cut greenhouse gas emissions drastically now and eliminate new greenhouse gas emissions fast. We need to learn how to power our lives and our world with clean, renewable energy in every way possible. We need to discover, develop, and scale new technologies to capture and reuse carbon. We need to develop sustainable farming practices, and so much more. Climate needs to be considered in almost every decision we make, day in and day out. Well, this is the challenge of the whole world, and this challenge will require great leadership nationally and internationally, it does not matter that we are just local officials in one small city in the Northeast United States. We cannot sit back and leave this work entirely to others. This is our responsibility in Beverly as much as it is every person's and every government's and every business's responsibility the world over. So I ask you to join me in making climate work our work every day. We can do all we are capable of doing, and in truth, we can do no less. So in closing, there is no doubt much for us as Beverly's leadership to accomplish on a range of issues that matter to our residents. To my elected colleagues on the City Council and School Committee, to our state and federal partners, to our many dedicated municipal and school employees, and to all the people of this wonderful community, I know we together are up to this task, and I can't wait to work with you all. Thank you for this great honor.
Thank you, Mayor Cahill. The City Council will now host its January 3rd, 2022 regular City Council meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Mercer. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Beverly City Council on January 3rd, 2022. I could have done that louder. There we go. Ms. Dixon, will you call the roll?
Bowen, Crowley, Feldman, Hausman, Rand, Rotundo, St. Hilaire, Sweeney, and Flowers.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dixon. We'll begin with presentations, awards, and memorials. And with that, this is my opportunity to make some remarks to the council, and so I guess I will call myself to the podium. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for your words and for your partnership and your leadership for our city. And I know that we look forward to working together with you just as you do with us. So, Happy New Year to all who are gathered here, and welcome to all those gathered here. To my fellow City Council colleagues, to our school committee colleagues, to you, Mr. Mayor, to members of your administration and team, to our wonderful city clerk and assistant clerk and their team, to BevCam, and thank you, BevCam, for always being here with us to ensure that people can easily access what is happening in their community. And that has become particularly important during this pandemic time, that people might continue to have access to the inner workings and the happenings of their city. So thank you for making that possible. Thank you to members of our school department for hosting us here this day. Thank you to Representative Paracella and Senator Lovely for your partnership to our city and for being here with us. As I begin my remarks, I would like to open with a land acknowledgement statement that we might pause together to recognize, consider, and honor the Native and Indigenous peoples on whose land our city is built and whose stories are integral to the story of this place. It is my hope that in the coming weeks, my fellow councilors and I will have the opportunity to discuss amending our rules of order of council meetings, that we might make such a statement a part of our regular meetings to follow. For now, however, I will begin my remarks with these words. With great gratitude and appreciation for the wonderful team at one of our amazing local institutions of learning, Montserrat College of Art, who have graciously shared with me the college's land acknowledgement, that I might be guided by their words, which I have adapted for our meeting today. As we gather here in this place, we acknowledge and we honor the Namkeg and Pawtucket peoples, on whose ancestral land we stand. The Namkeg and Pawtucket peoples were part of the Massachusetts Alliance, and their descendants are now included in the many tribal nations across the Northeast. We recognize our obligations to this land and to the Indigenous people who care for it. As we work toward greater diversity, equity, and inclusion, We acknowledge our own need to decolonize our systems by including Indigenous people and perspectives in our discourse, in our decision-making, and in our actions. Understanding our history, lifting it up, and looking at it honestly and fully is among the best ways, I believe, for us to go about creating the future that we are writing and living together now. A future that includes much of that good work that Mayor Cahill referenced in his remarks. And so I am honored to be standing here this day with all of you embarking on this new part of our shared journey together. I note that school committee member Mrs. Visnick is wearing a Lorax mask, which brings me in mind of the phrase that ends that book, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing will ever get better. It's not. And so I am thinking today, and we are invited this day to be thinking about the ways that we, each one of us, those of us up here and everyone gathered and all those watching us across our city, are invited to continue that work of caring a whole awful lot and writing together the future that we dream for our city. Now, the mayor and I chatted about our shared desire to keep the length of this entire event, the swearing in of elected officials, and this first council meeting from being too overly long, so that we're not keeping everyone inside for longer than necessary, given that we are still, as we enter 2022 and this new term, finding our way through the COVID-19 pandemic. I have to say the mayor seemed a little nervous asking me about the length of my remarks, and I assume it's because he knew he was dealing with an incoming council president whose day job is being a Baptist preacher. I told him for Baptists, 25 minutes is a short sermon, but don't worry. Oh, my colleagues in faith really like that joke. Thank you for that. I promise these remarks won't come close to touching that length of time. Maybe. As I have thought about entering this incoming term with all of you, and about stepping into the role of being your council president, and thank you, truly, to the people of Beverly for the trust you have placed in me to do this job, and to serve you and my fellow councilors in this role, I want to pause and say a word of thanks and appreciation to former council president Paul Gwansi, who served on the city council for 20 years and served 16 of those as president. What an incredible legacy of service to this community. Thank you, Paul, for all that you have done for this city. And I think that's worth a round of applause. I've been thinking, too, about advice that Paul gave me when I was stepping into my first term on the council. Advice that I think bears repeating, that I have carried with me throughout my first 2 terms, and that I think is useful for all of us, both as we welcome 3 councilors stepping into their first term, councilors at large Hannah Bowen and Brendan Sweeney, and Ward 3 councilor Steve Crowley, not to mention a first-term school committee colleague and Ward 4 school committee member Jeffrey Silva, and a welcome back to Councillor St. Hilaire, although this is not his first term, so he knows the ropes. But I believe that this advice bears repeating for all of us, whether it's our first term or a repeat term. As I was beginning my time on the council, Paul told me never to be worried about asking questions, to never be hesitant to ask what I did not know, nor hesitant to use my unique voice, even if what I had to say might be different from what other or veteran counselors had to say. This advice, I believe, has served me well, and I hope it will continue to serve us all well as I share it on this day. For my part, today and in the days leading up to it, I have been eager and excited to begin this work with you, and excited to continue to build on work we have done together over my past 2 terms, both as counselors, school committee colleagues, and with the mayor. But I will also confess to being a bit nervous. And maybe some of you feel nervous too, embarking in your new role, or the next phase of your existing role, or stepping in and filling in for the city clerk today and running this meeting. I have been acutely aware that the council and the city have not had a council president with a learning curve for some time, owing to Paul's long tenure in the role, And I found myself spending extra time worrying over things I did not yet know or mistakes that I might make. Because making mistakes is part of being human and learning and growing, and yes, part of leading. So I take it as a sure thing. But here's what I've come to on this front. And today I share those words not only for myself, but for all of us who put our names on the ballot, and for all of us sworn in this day as elected leaders of the city of Beverly, and really for all of us who are part of this shared effort of community that we call the city of Beverly. We will have many great moments, much to celebrate, and many triumphs, and we will make mistakes. We will come up against things that we don't yet know, information that we're asked for that we don't yet have, or things that we have never encountered, like maybe a global pandemic. That we will come up against things that we don't yet know is certain. That's just the truth about being human together on this shared journey, and that's not bad, because it is in those moments that incredible opportunity appears. Opportunity to take and make those moments of learning triumphs too. Because the things that we don't yet know, the information we don't have at the top of our head, the mistakes that we make, those are not and will not be the things that define us as leaders. What defines a leader is what happens next. When we don't know something, can we be honest with ourselves and others? Admit what we don't yet know, and then seek openly and honestly and with curiosity to learn more, to seek out information and grow from it. If we make a mistake, will we humbly and honestly own it, apologize for it, acknowledge it, and then seek to grow and learn from it, that we might not make it again, and that we might become better and better leaders through our learning. I believe that strong, honest, and open leaders are defined by what we do in those next moments, defined by a willingness to dig in, to work hard, to learn more, to do the work, and then move forward together, to do work for our city and its people. I have been honored for my part to be able to do this work with you for the past 4 years, and I look forward to continuing it with you now. I am mindful that today we sit in one of our excellent Beverly Public Schools, places where our teachers and our educators challenge our children and young people to have a growth mindset, to not be stopped by what they cannot yet do, but to approach learning and setbacks with curiosity and a reframing to think in terms of what they cannot do yet, what they do not know yet. And that is my hope for our city council, our school committee, our city leaders, and our whole community here in Beverly for this coming term and the next 2 years. My hope is that together we will continue to embrace this kind of growth mindset, to not be discouraged by challenges or setbacks, but to turn to them again with renewed energy and fresh eyes as we consider what has not happened yet, but what we are committed to learning about, working on, committing to, and moving toward together. This exact configuration of counselors, school committee members, mayor, and people of Beverly has never existed before, yet. And yet here on this day we begin. Here on this day we embark on this next term, these next 2 years, this next part of our collective story. May we do it with open hearts, with eager minds, with an attitude of service, caring, and collaboration, and with an ethos of love as our guide. Thank you. Thank you. So we come now to the time on our agenda to elect a vice president for the city council, and so I would accept nominations for the role of vice president of council. Councilor Rand.
I would move to nominate Councillor Todd Rotundo as Vice President.
Thank you. There's a motion to nominate Ward 1 Councillor Todd Rotundo as Vice President and a second from Councillor Houseman. Thank you. Are there any further discussion or other nominations? All right, with that, all those in favor of electing Councillor Todd Rotundo to the role of Council Vice President, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. The motion passes unanimously, and congratulations, Councillor Rotundo. Councillor Rotundo, I look forward to working with you as President and Vice President. Congratulations. Ms. Dixon, let's go to communications from His Honor the Mayor, please.
We have order number 10. Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $7,500 Cultural District Incentive Grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Council. This grant funding will be used to support the Beverly Arts District by hiring a part-time temporary staff member to manage a community engagement process that will result in feedback from the creative community about their vision and thoughts about the Beverly Arts District. Additionally, the funds will be used for an RFP for a new logo and brand for the district and an RFP and completed grant applications for an updated website. Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and mayoral approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for the prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this grant by taking action on this matter at your upcoming meeting on Monday, January 3rd, 2020. Thank you. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dixon. So for this matter, I would first accept a motion to allow us to vote this matter on the floor during this meeting. Is there a motion to? Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. So all those in favor of being able to vote on the grant on the floor today, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. And with that, I would also accept a motion to approve Order 10 to accept this grant so that it can be used to further our work as an arts district. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. That motion passes unanimously 9-0.
Order number 11. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Catherine Keefe O'Hare, 111 Haskell Street, to serve as a trustee of the Beverly Public Library. Her term is to be effective from January 31st, 2022 until January 31st, 2025. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 12. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Mr. Wayne Miller, 5 Pasture Road, and Mr. Sean Leach, 63 Kernwood Avenue, to serve on the Cable TV Advisory Commission. Their terms are to be effective from January 31st, 2022 until January 31st, 2025. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 13. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Mr. Brian Ailes, Finance Director of the City of Beverly, and Ms. Darlene Wynn, Planning Director of the City of Beverly, to serve on the Beverly Affordable Housing Trust. Their terms are to be effective from January 31st, 2022 until January 31st, 2025. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services as well.
Order number 14. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Mr. David Battistelli, 7 Lily Lane, and Ms. Pam Gudian, 26 Baker Avenue, to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Their terms are to be effective from January 31st, 2022 until January 31st, 2025. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Let's change it up and put that one in Legal Affairs. Surprise. Let's go to communications from other city officers and boards, please. And actually, Ms. Dixon, before you read Order 1, I would entertain a motion to vote all Orders 1 through 9 on the floor. We'll take them as separate votes, but motion to vote Orders 1 through 9 on the floor here today. Thank you. Was a motion a second? Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you. So that's approved 9-0. And Ms. Dixon, will you begin with order 1, please?
Order number 1. Dear Honorable City Council, I have often heard former City Council presidents remark that one of the most difficult decisions they had to make at the outset of their term as Council President was to establish the 3 standing subcommittees of the City Council and to assign councilors to each subcommittee. I have found their counsel to be both wise and accurate. Making this decision was a difficult one, and one which I took quite seriously, considering each councilor and what subcommittee placements I felt would work well to create the strongest overall council for our work together for the next 2 years. It is with that hope and in that spirit that I make the following appointments for this council term. Committee on Finance and Property, Councilor Scott D. Hausman, Ward 4, Chair. Councilor Julie R. Flowers, at large. Councilor Matthew J. St. Hilaire, Ward 6. Committee on Legal Affairs, Councilor Estelle M. Rand, Ward 2, Chair. Councilor Todd C. Rotundo, Ward 1. Councilor Brendan S. Sweeney, at large. Committee on Public Services, Councilor Kathleen M. Feldman, Ward 5, Chair. Councilor Hannah L. Bowen, at large. Councilor Stephen M. Crowley, Ward 3. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers, City Council President.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve order 1 to establish our standing subcommittees. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. That passes unanimously.
Number 2, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint Ward 3 Councilor Stephen M. Crowley and Ward 6 Councilor Matthew J. St. Hilaire to serve as the City Council liaisons to the Beverly Police Department Community Advisory Council. I would ask that the liaisons plan to report quarterly to the Council on any important updates or information from these CAC meetings. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve order 2? Is there a second? Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. That also passes unanimously.
Order number 3. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint Councilor at Large Brendan S. Sweeney to serve as the City Council representative to the ECDC. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to approve order 3 to appoint Councilor at Large Brendan Sweeney to the ECDC. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you very much. That passes unanimously.
Council Order number 4. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint Ward 1 Councilor Todd C. Rotundo and Councilor at Large Julie R. Flowers to serve as the City Council liaisons to the Beverly School Committee. I would ask that the liaisons continue the practice of working with the Beverly Public Schools Central Office leadership and with the school committee to provide the City Council with quarterly reports to update the Council of important updates and actions from the Beverly Public Schools and School Committee. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to approve order 4. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Order 4 passes unanimously. And I do want to just say a thank you to the school department, but particularly to Mrs. Jean Sherburne for her work in helping Councilor Rotundo and I over the last term prepare reports for the committee.
Council Order number 5. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint Ward 5 Councilor Kathleen M. Feldman, Chair, and Ward 4 Councilor Scott D. Hausman to serve on the Financial Forecast Committee. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Oh, Councilor Hausman, will you wait until you have Ms. Dixon's microphone? Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to offer a friendly amendment for the term of Chair of Financial Forecast Committee to begin on April 1st, 2022.
So we have a proposal for an amendment that also needs a second to be able to discuss. Second from Councilor Rand, thank you. So Councilor Hausman's amendment is open for discussion. Is there discussion? Can you repeat your amendment, please?
Yes, for the term of the Chair of Financial Forecast Committee to begin on April 1st of 2022. Rather than immediately, there remains work of the Financial Forecasting Committee that is yet unfinished from the current term that ended in December of 2021. So it gives the committee an opportunity to complete its work before the next term of the chair starts.
Are there other comments or questions? Councillor Feldman, you're... I was going to say, you're the other councillor in question here. Councillor Bowen.
Do we need to specify the continuation of the previous committee to April 1st, or would that amendment cover the continuation of the previous committee and the commencing committee?
Yes, that's a good question. I think with this amendment, Councillor Feldman would be joining the committee, which would otherwise continue its work, but would be a chance for the two councillors to take this place and hear this as sort of a succession overlap. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Does that help, Councillor Bowen? Oh, Councillor St. Hilaire, could you send Councillor St. Hilaire the microphone, please? Don't worry, Council Chambers, we all get our own, so this part goes quicker.
I just wanted to ask who the current chair of the Financial Forecasting Committee was.
The current chair is Councillor Hussman. So if I'm hearing this correctly, this is a proposal for the current committee and current chair to be able to finish their work and submit their report from the previous term before leadership changes. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Is there other discussion, questions, or conversation about this? Yes. Councillor Feldman is joining the committee immediately as the second councillor. So we have an amendment on the table with a motion and a second. All in favor of approving Councillor Hussman's amendment to begin the new chair's term as of April 1st?
Aye.
Any opposed? So eight in favor, 1 opposed. Thank you. And so now we need to return to the original motion, which would be to accept Order 5, but with Councillor Hussman's amendment. So is there a motion to accept the order as amended? Is there a second? Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So 8-1, thank you. Thank you very much, councillors.
Council Order Number 6. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint Ward 2 Councillor Estelle M. Rand and Ward 1 Councillor Todd C. Rotundo to serve as the City Council representatives to the Harbor Management Authority. I would ask that the representatives submit to the Council a quarterly report to update and inform the Council on important updates from the Harbor Management Authority. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers, City Council President.
Is there a motion to approve Order Number 6? Second. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed or any abstentions? Thank you. That passes unanimously.
Council Order Number 7. Dear Honorable Council, in accordance with Rule 21.4 of the Rules and Orders of the City Council, I do hereby make the standing designation. In my absence, I do hereby designate the Chairperson of the Finance and Property Subcommittee, the Chairperson of Legal Affairs and Ordinances Subcommittee, or the Chairperson of the Public Services Subcommittee, as each subcommittee may then be duly noticed to be in joint meeting of the Committee of the Whole, to convene, to recess, to reconvene, to adjourn, and to serve as acting chair of the Committee of the Whole during such joint meeting. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers, City Council President.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve Order Number 7? Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or any abstentions? Thank you. That passes unanimously.
Council Order Number 8. Dear Honorable City Council, it is undeniable that the COVID-19 pandemic and public health emergency that it caused disrupted life in many ways and has required some flexibility of us all in all areas of our life. The city has not been immune to such changes and need for flexibility. As such, the previously appointed Charter Review Standing Committee, which might more typically have completed its work in the prior term, will be continuing and completing its work in this term. In consultation with the City Solicitor's Office, I believe that the most prudent course of action is to reaffirm and reappoint the members of that committee so that they might most efficiently complete the work with which they have been charged, rather than appointing new members to this committee at this time. Section 8-1 of the Charter contemplates that at least one current City Councilor be on the committee, and we are fortunate enough to have Councilor at Large Hannah L. Bowen, who has been serving on the committee as Citizen Bowen, to fill that role. As such, the Charter Review Standing Committee is hereby reaffirmed and reappointed to be comprised of Councilor at Large Hannah L. Bowen, Timothy Flaherty, Chair, Stacey Ames, Julie De Silva, Richard Dinkin, and Michael Pinciero. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers, City Council President.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Order 8, reaffirming our current Charter Commission? Thank you. There is a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed or any abstentions? Thank you very much. So that committee is reaffirmed unanimously.
Council Order Number 9. Dear Honorable City Council, as a means of keeping us all on the same page and offering full and transparent communication to you and to members of the public, I want to hereby inform you that in addition to the standing subcommittees and other appointments made today, this being the year ending in 2022, we will also be charged with working on a review of the ordinances of the city during this term. I will be appointing an ordinance review committee comprised of members of the City Council at a later date this year, which I expect to do when the work of the Charter Review Commission has concluded. Respectfully, Julie R. Flowers, City Council President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dixon. And so with this one, we just need a motion to receive and place on file. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed or any abstentions? Thank you very much. That is approved unanimously. And with that, thank you, Ms. Dixon. Ms. Dixon reminds me that if you were sworn into elected office today, please stay so that you can sign the oath book before you leave, which she has brought with her this day. And is there any other last business from the council? All right. Well, with that, I will say another word of thanks. Thank you to our colleagues on the school committee who always have the opportunity to join us for this organizational meeting. And thank you for sitting through it with us. Thank you to everyone for attending. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your remarks. Thank you again to our school department for hosting us. And this might seem a little strange as a way to end a council meeting, but before we adjourn, I want to share that there's been a poem running through my head all day, and it's very short, so I hope you will indulge me. It's actually a poem that I was asked to memorize in 5th grade at Cahill Elementary School by Mrs. Booten. I don't know if any other alums of Mrs. Booten are here today, but she was a memorably outstanding teacher and did ask us to memorize quite a lot of poetry, which at the time seemed challenging, and now I really do appreciate. This being a poem I learned in 5th grade, it's by the poet Shel Silverstein, which might seem overly simplistic, and yet I think often it's in the seemingly simplest things that we find great truth. And so this is a poem called Listen to the Mustn'ts. So I'm going to share it with us, school committee members and city councilors. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the impossibles, the shouldn'ts, and the won'ts. Listen to the never haves, and then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. And that's how I've been feeling as we embark together as a city in this next year, in this next term, that there may be things that have felt difficult, impossible, and challenging, and yet together, it really is true that anything can indeed be. And so I look forward to working together toward those ends with all of you. And with that, I would take a motion to adjourn. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed to that? Great. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, City Council President Flowers. I would like now to invite Rabbi Allison Adler of Temple B'nai Abraham to the stage to give a benediction.
Holy One, source of all life, may our leaders seek the divine, continue to seek the divine in each and every resident of this city of Beverly. Remind them always that kindness is what you desire most from us at all times. Holy One of time and space, source of grace, in a time when being a leader is even more draining and the work is even harder than usual, may our leaders breathe deeply and care for themselves in body, in soul, and in mind. Bless them and their families with health and well-being. Inspire them to face the challenges of our time boldly, for there are so many challenges. Remind them to remind us that what we say and what we do matters. Holy One, wellspring of love, help our leaders to be mindful for our whole community, so that all of our neighbors, our vulnerable neighbors, those who are afraid, know that we are all cherished and safe. In this time of anxiety and pandemic, help our leaders build a healthier, more sustainable world for our children and grandchildren. And may they hold in their hearts, as leaders and as human beings, these words that were inspiring me in the last couple of days, these words by Amanda Gorman, who wrote them for this new year. May this be the day we come together, the moments we meet, and our hearts, once all together beaten, now all together beat. Come, look up with kindness yet, for even solace can be sourced from sorrow. We remember not just for the sake of yesterday, but to take on tomorrow. And let us say, Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Adler. This concludes the 2022 inauguration ceremony and the January 3rd meeting of the City Council. Thank you to the BHS Jazz Band, the BHS Vocal Ensemble, BHS ROTC MCJ Color Guard, Reverend Faria, and again, Rabbi Adler for their contributions to the ceremony today. Thank you for joining us, and Happy New Year.